Do you think you're being Kavanaugh'd right now?
I had a member not 45 minutes ago look me in the eye in private, just he and I, and say, that's what they're trying to do to you. That's what they're trying to do to you. That's their playbook. Get ready for more. And they're going to make it up, just like they have so far. All anonymous, all innuendo, all rumor, nothing sourced, no verification. And they're just going to keep doing it because you're a threat to them. You're a threat to their system. You're a threat to all the things in Washington, D.C., the swamp, the things that people have rejected. You're a threat to that. And so they're coming after you. And I know that. He knows that. And when you stand firm on that, it's not difficult to just continue to fight. So yeah, we saw what happened, but guess what happened? Kavanaugh stood up and he fought and he won. And hopefully Republicans have learned that lesson.
And Trump stood by him.
And Trump stood by him.
That was Pete Hegseth fully embracing the victimhood that burns so brightly in today's GOP. Megyn Kelly asks if he feels like he's being Kavanaugh'd, to which Hegseth claims that yes, of course he's being Kavanaugh'd, suggesting that everything that's come out against him is all rumor, all anonymous, nothing sourced. Those are his words, which is weird because the basis for the assault allegations against him are that he paid a settlement to the woman who accused him. I get that he wants to frame the allegations against him as some figment of Democrats' imaginations, but him paying her money and having her sign a non-disclosure isn't a rumor, it's a fact. There's also the email that was sent from Hegseth's mom to Pete himself that was disclosed by the New York Times. I have no respect for any man that belittles, lies, cheats, sleeps around, and uses women for his own power and ego. You are that man and have been for years. And as your mother, it pains me and embarrasses me to say that, but it is the sad, sad truth. On behalf of all the women, and I know it's many, you have abused in some way, I say, get some help and take an honest look at yourself. Again, not a rumor, not anonymous. This is a real email that was sent from Hegseth's mom to her son in 2018. Or take the drinking allegations. The allegations were sourced not from Bernie Sanders or AOC. They were sourced from 10 current and former Fox employees who claimed that he smelled of alcohol or complained of being hungover at work. So unless Fox News is now some liberal bastion, I'm not sure who Hegseth's beef is with here. But what is clear is that while Hegseth wants to frame himself as the victim of some baseless smear campaign by the left, this has nothing to do with the left and everything to do with his own network, his own mother, and a woman who he paid. If you can point me to the liberals who are trying to, quote, Kavanaugh him, I'm all ears. Notice too how Hegseth claims that the reason that the Democrats are so intent on perpetuating this apparent smear campaign is that he's a threat, as if Pete Hegseth represents some acute danger to the Democrats. To be clear, Democrats don't care about Pete Hegseth. Maybe the problem is that we all want what's best for this country, our national security, and the U.S. military, and perhaps having an alleged abuser with a drinking problem with zero experience running anything close to an agency the size of the Pentagon isn't great for anybody. Like, I'm sorry, but my question here isn't why don't Democrats like Hegseth as Secretary of Defense, but rather, why do Republicans like him as Secretary of Defense? He's all downside and no upside. He's clearly got a ton of skeletons in his closet, and it's not even like he's some visionary to compensate for that. He's a random weekend TV host on Fox. You guys have full control of government. Why not throw your weight behind someone who might actually be capable of effectively running the Pentagon instead of pretending that Pete Hegseth is the second coming of Christ here? Why Republicans feel the need to squander all of their political capital on the least qualified and most damaged people they can find will never make sense to me. Also, not for nothing, but if you're trying to beat the drinking problems allegations, these comments right here probably aren't doing you any favors.
They're not upset about your drinking?
You know what? There's an interesting one there. First of all, I've never had a drinking problem. No one's ever approached me and said, "Oh, you should really look at getting help for a drink." Never. I've never sought counseling, never sought help. I respect and appreciate people who do. But what do guys do when they come back from war? Oftentimes, have some beers. How do you deal with the demons you see on the battlefield? Sometimes it's with a bottle. Unfortunately, tragically, for too many guys, it's with the bottle, and then it's depression, and even worse, suicide. I mean, we've got an epidemic of that in our country. Thank God, by the grace of God, I found my chapters of purpose that pulled me out of that.
And yet still, despite his protests and also his probably less than helpful comments about alcohol, Hegseth seems to be taking a page from the Trump playbook and doubling down, launching his own little offensive today, aided, of course, by right-wing media. There's Megyn Kelly, there's Fox and Friends, there's Breitbart, and then there's the Wall Street Journal, which hosted an op-ed defending Pete Hegseth, written by Pete Hegseth. Because I guess when there aren't that many people who are willing to actually go to bat for you, then you just go to bat for yourself, apparently. But whether all of this counts for anything remains to be seen, because according to NBC News, as many as 6 Senate Republicans, perhaps more, are currently not comfortable supporting Hegseth's bid to lead the Pentagon as new revelations about his past continue to be made public, 3 Republican sources with direct knowledge of his nomination process said. Given Republicans' slim Senate majority in the next Congress, Hegseth, a former Fox News host, can afford to lose only 3 GOP votes, assuming all Democrats vote against him. Here's Senator Blumenthal echoing that exact sentiment.
I've talked to 5 to 10 Republicans who have said to me they're just waiting for the right moment to say no to Pete Hegseth.
Your colleagues saying that to you privately is a much lower bar than being willing to vote against him publicly or even say publicly that they won't support him. Why do you think so few Republicans, none by my count, have been willing to come out and say they will definitively not support this nominee?
Nobody wants to defy Donald Trump.
And it's important to note that per Blumenthal's comments, while it's true that nobody wants to defy Trump, we already know that they have. Matt Gaetz' nomination for Attorney General was tanked not because of the Democrats' opposition, but because of Republicans. Remember, Republicans will control the Senate. They have the numbers to pass every single one of Trump's nominees with 0 support from the Democrats. When Gaetz withdrew from consideration, it's because he knew that he didn't have the support from his own party, and that even though that would mean drawing the ire of Donald Trump, still there were clearly enough Republicans willing to do exactly that to the point where the nomination was pulled. Meaning, even in a political environment where Trump seems to be able to get away with everything, that same courtesy doesn't extend to even those who are closest to him, which is a point that Mehdi Hasan and I discussed in our most recent interview.
I've thought long and hard about the Trump era and what Trump gets away with, and one of the only silver linings of all the dark clouds of this era is that he is sui generis, Trump. There doesn't seem to be anyone else like him. No one else, even in his close orbit, can get away with the kind of crap that he gets away with. So we have this whole issue of Matt Gaetz accused of child sex trafficking or whatever it is, which he denies. You have Peter Hegseth accused of rape. But hold on, the guy appointing them was found liable for sexual abuse, what a judge said could be called rape, by a jury of his peers in New York. So the whole thing is absurd, right? If you think about it, who is Trump to sit as any kind of judge, jury, executioner of his cabinet? But that's the world we're in. Trump gets a pass. He's been elected. The public don't care. But they do seem to care about cabinet officials. The media do seem to care. It's been a feeding frenzy since he's nominated all these people. The Hegseth stuff gets worse by the day. He had his mother come out to defend him on Fox, where else, his old channel, this morning. Yeah. I love the idea that we're going to be strong in the world and have this strong defense secretary who's going to go up against China and Russia. But he needs mommy to come help him on TV. Right. The same mother who, by the way, wrote an email to him saying, apologize, demanding accountability on behalf of all women. He said many women, she said, who he had abused in some shape or form. She's now taken that back. Surprise, surprise. But not just that. There's the allegations of rape. There's the stuff about his own views. My colleague Prem Thakur at Zeteo just published a piece last night going through 4 of his books. And some of the stuff he said about women in the military, abortion rights, Muslims, immigrants. You just go down the list. Israel, America's role in the world. He's a real hawk, pretending now to be this kind of peacenik anti-war guy like Trump. He's a hardcore neocon. So look, there's a lot going on. I think you put your finger on it by saying, can the others get away with what Trump gets away with? We're now hearing reporting from the Wall Street Journal that he might swap him for DeSantis, which is hilarious because Trump suggested Ron DeSantis grooms young girls.
So it remains to be seen what happens with Pete Hegseth. But again, the point at hand is that while he and his allies try to frame this all as some big witch hunt by the left, this really has nothing to do with the left. It has everything to do with Hegseth's own actions. Republicans love beating their chests as the party of personal responsibility. Perhaps just once, they might consider actually taking some. Before you go, just a quick note, if you'd like to see more of my content, which is always free of advertising, sponsorships, and paywalls, please make sure to subscribe to this channel using the subscribe button right here on the screen. And if you'd like to support my work even further, you can grab a copy of my instant #1 New York Times selling book, Shameless, available for sale right now. That link is also on the screen. Thanks so much for watching.